You are listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, Certified Life Coach Michelle Arnold Bourque. In today's episode, I'm discussing abundance is already here, how to receive more, and trust yourself. Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. Okay, today we are diving into one of my favorite topics, especially most recently, abundance. Not just abundance as money, but abundance as energy, as possibility, as creativity, and as connection. And abundance as the truth of who you already are. And here's the thing. Abundance is not something out there that you need to chase down, earn, or wait for someone else to hand it to you. Abundance is something you tune into. It's something you allow. And I want you to hear this from the very start. You are already the vessel of abundance. The question is, how much can you allow yourself to receive? And I will tell you, that is a very important question, and it can be one that we struggle with. I do so much work around this because I think especially as high achievers, as women, it is so easy to do, and give. And the work is really in our capacity to receive. And so when you're listening today, I want you to think about that for you. And it can be in some of the simplest ways. Listen, I have been that weirdo that when a friend goes to buy me a cup of coffee, I'm like, no, I got it myself. You don't have to buy it for me. Or still, sometimes I catch myself picking up the pace when I'm walking towards the door and there's somebody else that might get there before me and open it for me. It's as if like, I don't need your help. I can just do it myself. So there are little ways that we can start to increase our capacity to receive. And I want you to think about that as you listen today. So let's get started with talking about abundance and quantum possibility. And if you've ever studied quantum physics, or if you've had the opportunity to read Mike Dooley's Infinite Possibilities, you know this. Every reality already exists. Infinite versions of your life, infinite paths, infinite levels of abundance are already there, available. I do tend to think and wonder when I think of infinite possibilities of myself, if there is a version of me that does not like caffeine. And I find that hard to believe, but I am going to be open to the idea because who knows, right? There are so many possibilities. The universe is like a field of possibility, and what we focus on collapses into our lived experience. Kathy Heller says this all the time. You are plugged in to the infinite. It's like a radio station. Abundance is always broadcasting. You don't create the station, you just tune the dial. And the way you tune that dial is through your focus, your energy, and what you believe is possible for you. And when you start expecting abundance, when you start believing you are worthy of it, suddenly you notice the opportunities that were always right there. It's what I talk about here a lot, right? The reticular activating system. We need to have the awareness that there is abundance, that there are possibilities. And when we start looking for it, when we put our brain to work on it, we will find more of that. And I want to touch upon the neuroscience of receiving. Your brain is also wired with what's called confirmation bias. And that means it looks for evidence of what you already believe, right? We talked about the reticular activating system, and now we're talking about the bias. So you're going to start being open to the idea that it is possible, and now you are going to be looking for evidence of that. So if you believe you're just getting by, your brain will highlight all of the moments that prove that true. And if you believe abundance is possible for you, your brain will literally start scanning the environment for proof of that. And here's the best part. Your brain is not fixed. Neuroplasticity means that you can rewire it. Every time you imagine new possibilities, every time you practice gratitude, every time you let yourself receive even a small thing with joy, you are literally changing your brain. I was just talking to my friend Rhonda about this because we talk about visualization. And if you want to talk about your future self, right? When you take that time to meditate, to think, to visualize, again, our brains don't know if it's happening in real life or if we're imagining it. So as you do that work, you start to regulate your nervous system, which allows you to grow the capacity to receive. So when we talk about doing visualization, when we talk about thinking about your dreams and your desires and really giving yourself that opportunity, that is the reason. And on the flip side, stress and scarcity flood your brain with cortisol, which narrows your focus and makes it harder to see solutions. But gratitude, joy, and awe, isn't that like such a fun word? Like wonder and awe. They open your brain and widen your perspective and allow more creative ideas to land. You're changing your focus, which changes your frequency. So abundance isn't just a nice thought. It's a state of mind that changes the way your brain processes the world. And here's why this is so important. And I mentioned it early on. So many women have been conditioned to put themselves last, to give until they're empty, to feel guilty about receiving. And I saw this even as simple as the story I just told you about the coffee, right? Things like that we do day after day just chips away at our soul. Might sound a little dramatic, but I do believe it is true. More importantly, it reinforces the idea of scarcity. We need to be open to allowing more in. And I know I'm not the only one doing this. Maybe not necessarily the coffee, maybe not necessarily running after the door, but maybe you felt it too. The awkwardness of letting someone give to you, the reflex to say, I'm fine, I've got it, or the way we deflect compliments, right? Oh, this old thing? How often have I said, oh, I just got this at Marshall's, whatever it might be, right? Or, oh, it was nothing. We tend to downplay our accomplishments because we don't want to seem too arrogant. There is a difference between self-confidence and arrogance. Self-confidence is the belief in yourself that you will figure it out. And I think if you're here and you're listening and you're doing the work on yourself, you are not arrogant. Trust me. There are people that it is clearly obvious, and I think that's what happens. We see others and we're like, we don't want to be like them. That's not the case. If you're doing the work on yourself, you are not like them. And every time we push away the coffee or the compliment or the open door, we reinforce the belief that we're not worthy of receiving and that somehow receiving is selfish or weak or wrong. But here's the truth. Every time you allow yourself to receive, you expand the channel of what's possible. You say yes to the flow of abundance that wants to come through you. And when you receive with grace, you give others the gift of giving. Think about that. Someone wants to buy you a cup of coffee. Someone wants to help you out. And you're like, no, no, no. That shuts down also the opportunity for them to feel good about what it is that they're doing to help you. So it's just a simple shift in your thinking, and it can make such a difference in your world. And this is the work that ties so tightly into pillar 4 of the empowered rhythm method that I teach, empowered self-trust. Because abundance isn't just about what you get. It's about trusting yourself enough to know that you are worthy to receive it. Trusting yourself to say yes, trusting that you can hold more, handle more, and enjoy more without waiting for permission. And I'll be honest, I used to treat things like the gratitude journal as a checklist, right? Oprah said to do it, so I was going to do it, write down my 5 things that I'm grateful for, and I would write them down, but I didn't take the time to actually feel grateful for them. It was more about completing the task than really wiring into that truth and letting it settle into your body. So here's what neuroscience tells us. Writing with a pen and paper or pen to paper actually strengthens the encoding of memory and emotion. When you write down what you're grateful for and pause to feel it, maybe it's as simple as the warmth of the coffee. There I go, back to the caffeine, right? Maybe the sound of like your kid or your niece laughing, or that relief of finishing a project. When you take that time to recognize, to notice, to feel, you are literally rewiring your brain to recognize goodness. Self-trust is the soil abundance grows in. And when you know you are safe within yourself, when you believe your inner compass is enough, you naturally expand your capacity. So I want you to ask yourself, where have you already trusted yourself and it led to expansion? Where have you said yes to something that felt abundant and it opened more doors than you expected? That's the flex. That's the muscle of self-trust. The more you use it, the more abundance you experience. I promise you. Now, let's talk about some ways that you can practice expanding your capacity. So here are some practical tools. Number 1, visualization. I talk about this a lot. Spend a few minutes each day picturing yourself in the most abundant version of your life. Not as a fantasy, but as reality that is already existing in quantum possibility. Your brain, again, doesn't know the difference between what you're imagining vividly and what's real. It rewires either way. Remember, there have been studies about basketball players who mentally rehearsed the game and those that practice physically, and the outcomes were super similar. They've done it for piano players as well. So take the time to visualize. We know the most successful athletes do this. We can take the time, 2 minutes if you need to start, 4 minutes if you need to start, and think about your most abundant version of yourself. Number 2, gratitude with feelings. I know, feelings. We've been talking about them a lot. It's so important. This week, when you journal, don't just write the list. Pause. Close your eyes. Feel it in your body. What happens in your chest when you imagine that smile or that moment? The feeling is the signal of abundance. And number 3, nervous system regulation. Here's the foundation. Your nervous system is the control center that determines whether you feel safe or threatened. And when your body senses stress, it shifts into that fight, flight, or freeze. And in those states, your brain literally cannot access creativity, openness, and abundance. And that's why regulation is essential to this work. A deep breath, a grounding practice, a moment of stillness. These signal safety to your nervous system. And when your body feels safe, your mind becomes receptive and you open up to flow again. I talk a lot about thoughts creating things, but you cannot have a thought that you do not believe. That will not work. And in order to step into new possibility, you need to have a regulated nervous system that knows you are safe to make that shift into the new belief. And abundance, again, is not just about the mindset. It's a state of being, body and mind working together in openness. So let's close with this reminder. Abundance is not out there waiting for you. It is already here, flowing through you right now. You are the vessel. And the more you allow yourself to receive, the more you expand what's possible for everyone around you. And if you are ready to take this deeper, if this is starting to land for you to actually practice living from clarity, energy, confidence, and self-trust, I want to invite you to join Reset to Rise. This is what it's all about. It is your $47 roadmap to remembering the abundance that is already within you. Inside, you learn how to release distractions that dim your impact, reclaim your energy so you could show up as the highest version of yourself and step fully into the identity of a woman who leads with purpose and possibility. Listen, we are not meant to just survive. We are here. We are meant to thrive, and we are meant to thrive in abundance. What is your next step today? How do you show up as your most abundant self? What does that look like? Start thinking from that possibility and knowing that the answer is infinite. Okay, friends, that is what I have for you today. Let's meet back next week, but for now, make it a great day. Take care. Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburkecoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.